Hello, Ms. Sigmund again. Mr. Trần Thanh Tùng, could you introduce yourself? Do you have a microphone, Mr. Tùng? Not working, I can tell. It's okay, sir. So could you type some sentences telling us about you, what are you doing? Are you a teacher? Where are you working? Yeah.
Freelancer at the VUS, right? That's great, Thanh Tùng, right? Such great one.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have you here too, Mr. Tùng. Mr. Trần Thủ Tính Tình, Mr. Trương Thanh Hòa, could you hear me? Nguyễn Thanh Tuấn answer.
Good to know you, right? Thank.
A very productive weekend. It's Saturday, but many people are here and waiting for you for Mr. Nghi presentation. So it means that your topic is very interesting.
Oh, thank you. Right. I think that it's a little one, right?
And also the people here are very kind of hardworking and very curious, always curious about learning and learning new things. So good morning, Mr. Nguyễn Văn Hà from AMI Language Center. Do you work today, Mr. Hà? All right, it means that you have to work later today. Yeah, very hard working. Yeah. And then you can enjoy Sunday off, right, Mr. Han? Yeah, cool. I haven't heard anything from attendee Miss Đoàn Thanh Thủy. Hello, Miss Thủy, could you hear me? Maybe she's having breakfast. Oh, yeah, good. So, Miss Thủy, is that Thủy or Thủy? Everybody, you could type use Vietnamese. You can put it on the phone. Okay, yes, Miss Thủy. Yeah, Miss Thủy. Where are you working?
From Cần Thơ, right?
City in the Mekong Delta, Cần Thơ. Yeah. Okay. So we're very glad to have you here today. another a turn to Miss Lu Mỹ Linh. Good morning, Miss Linh. Hello, Miss Mỹ Linh, a newcomer. Can you hear me? So it's already 9:06. Should we begin now, Mr. Nghi?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Again, welcome all of you to today's webinar. I am Hồng, an English lecturer in Hoa Trang University, and I'll be the moderator for today, helping with the opening, Q&A, and also some technical assistance. So firstly, I would like to introduce you guys to our presenter, Mr. Trần Tuấn Nghi. He's the English lecturer and Dean of Faculty of the Foreign Languages in the University of Food Industry. His main interests include tools development for computer-based language teaching. His publication include one book, English for Teaching, 10 articles, and conferences proceedings. And about our topic, as all of you know, that is applying cognitive linguistics to teaching vocabulary to EFL learners. You know, teaching vocabulary has been the main issue in English language teaching and learning. English teachers in Vietnam, in particular, are now using different vocabulary teaching methods in their teaching. This report presented by Mr. Nghi today is doing part of the job differently. It discusses 3CL principle for teaching vocabulary for Vietnamese learners of English, namely the study of categorization, prototype, and metaphor. The application of these principles in the EFL learning environment like Vietnamese context are applicable and practical. The report will also present some of the useful suggestions for EFL teachers to follow. We have the Q&A section at the end when Mr. Nghi finishes his talk. So if you have any question, you can take note and then raise it at the end. Or you could type it in the chat box and I will take note and let Mr. Nghi know later. Thank you. So, and now welcome, Mr. Nghi.
Okay, thank you for your introducing me to all the people in, and I'm very to be. Actually, the Edison had 7 members, and Mr. Wu is the president of the Hoa Sang, the president of the Edison has invited me here to this topic, and just a month ago, that topic it was brought to of you here, and I think that it not new to all of us, but it may be something a little bit interesting to all of us when we had a long time familiarized with the other method in teaching vocabulary or teaching the words to the student. Now I think that when you the title, so applying the cognitive linguistics or a cognitive approach to teaching vocabulary for the Vietnamese learner of English or the EL learner. That containing two the component, right? It means that the cognitive linguistic and learning vocabulary, very clear, right? But how we apply this notion in our job as a teacher of English, right? It's a little bit, I mean, new to us now. You know that the knowledge of the vocabulary is very important to all of our learner, very important, because they have enough vocabulary. They can talk, they can listen, or they can communicate at the end, right? So vocabulary also play a very crucial role in acquiring the language here in English language, right? Amount of the vocabulary will determine their their proficiency, their competence, and also their level of the English. Is exactly the amount of the vocabulary that the learner had determine their proficiency, right? Their competence, right? Their level. So that way we think that the vocabulary is so important to the learner, and how to help them to learn the vocabulary with the sustainable in their mind is also very important too, right? Important too. Among the Mr. Hong said that variety of the method in teaching vocabulary, among them, one of the approaches to come up to us here right now is how to apply the cognitive linguistics in teaching this one through the three main feature or main domain is about the prototype, the metaphor, metonymy, and I will help you to guide all of you to know it later, right? That is the short, very short introduction to the issue of the teaching vocabulary with using the cognitive linguistics. And the first one, you have to know about the motivated polysemy of the word at first before we come to this one. Okay, so I would like of you to look at the slide. So the question is, can the English as a foreign language learner perceive or have the knowledge with the connection, the different meaning of the word? I take the very easy word in the word of the head. So we have the three sentences I already put it here for all of you. So the first one, the head of the school. And the second one is the head of the bed or the stair. Okay, or the third one, I can't get that song out of my head, right? So here is the three examples we use using the word heads. I think it's better for me to close my picture, my visual, to enlarge the slide for all you to can see the word clearer. Okay, it's better. It looks better. Okay, can you see the word on the slide clearer? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Thanh Hồng. Thank you, Văn Thái. Right. So in this way, do we think that the student, right? Do you think that student had know about the connection between the different meaning of the word here? And you know that the word head in the head of the school indicate a person, right? And I can get out of the sort of out of my head indicate the conceptual of a version. It may be a country thing like our head, but maybe not. And the head of the bed and the stair is something quite different. So the head here is the mental ability, head for the function. So if we just use the our normally teaching, like we write the word head and we put an Vietnamese equivalent term đầu, and then we put in between some of the phonemic system or item, right? So it just has the student to link to one of the country thing of their head or of an animal one. But when we have the student to understand the head with the mental ability and the head of the function, so in that way we can open the word head in many polysemous meaning of the word. So if we use the translation method, we just feed the student which one's meaning and let all the students to find themselves at home. But when we use the cognitive linguistics, we may ourselves prepare something in the network and get the student to know this one. And how we do that one is our concern today, right? And not my advice, but my concern that if you just write the word head and we supply the meaning, the word đầu in for student, we point to our head to let them know that that is the head. It's okay, but we are to specify only one thing, one item for the student only, and the student may be having to themselves very difficult way to understand the other word, sorry, all the sentence or all the context that contained in the word head in their reading or in their communication or in their listening. That's one I would like to a little bit to explain, a little bit to explain, little bit to explain what is the head of the spoon. So that is the combination of the metonymy, the head for the control, right? The head for the control. We use the part of the thing to indicate, right? And we also connect with the metaphor and generalization at the physical body, at the version, right? Physical body at the version. So when we combining two of the meaning, that we do not take for the student, that ourselves to perceive and ourselves help them to understanding and help them to classify the word head in an example. Maybe maybe you may cut the word head, right? And you show the picture who are the principal of your school or your university and ask them to fill in the word. And when they see the image of the leader of the school, and they say it's the head of the school. So by that way, the student in their mind, they have a knowledge of the word head. Head only not indicate the part of the body, their body, but also indicate the person who is the leader of the school. By that way, we have a put the combination of the metonymy and the metaphor of the word head in the knowledge of the word, the vocabulary, the containing word of the word head to your student. That is seem motivate them with the linguistics. Expression. We can get them to get filled with the picture, especially with the picture, right? The image. And the head of the bed of the stair, also the same. When we do the head at the top, vertical axis, right? Categorization. We give an example, an illustration of a metaphor, maybe in comparing with a human body. Maybe in on top of that, maybe we have some of the pillow or some of the other item. If we add them to identify where is the head of the bed, or even we add them to identify the head of the stair is the same, right? So all the words use the head reflect for our everyday knowledge that link to our perception of our body, our embodiment, right? And a function and associate with the knowledge of the word that the student have to understand. I back to the picture again. And I think that when we prepare at the teacher of the EFL, I think that we must think of the next word of the word and mainly as example to modify for that word is a good for the student, for our student. Because in that way, we let them with a motivated believe me word, not a very single one, not a very single one. Remember that if we just do our job in a very simple way to let them to know and keep up to another word and keep up to another word, it's okay. But it's not the way that student may be developed by natural process one, right? I think we take another example of the word hand is the same. I use it to example maybe very familiar to all of you and very easy for us to get one. So we must ask the student for ourselves to the connection between the different meaning of the word. In that way, we also prepare for ourselves the material, the containing of the word with a very clear example with a different meaning, and let them to do in the teaching time of us. For example, when we say the word the hand, if we just show our hand and this is the hand, left with the right, so it's a concrete thing. The student will know. But when we say that we show the picture of the clock or the real reality of the clock, we say that what is it? We ask our student what it is, and the student maybe know and maybe do not know. And we say that our hand with the function of the pointing. So with item of the clock will have the function of the pointing, and the student say the hand of the watch or the hand of the clock. By the way, the same to the word head is the metaphor and the metonymy. We had put two of the item, the function, the part of the item to indicate the whole to the student. And we do not need to explain for the student that is the metaphor, that is the metonymy. We prepare for ourselves. We prepare for ourselves as a teacher. And when we show the example to teach the word hand, it means that you already are a leader using the cognitive linguistics in your teaching. By the way, you have a knowledge of the motivated listening word. Why are you the word motivated listening but not the other word? Later I will to tell you. Or hand it to me. Another example. Hand it to me. You not simply to show the picture hand and say this is the hand, this is the left hand or the right hand. But when you come up to the teacher, you stated, hand it to me, right? And in that way, the student have to do the action, and they have to know the word, hand at the verb. And we already ask the student to use different part of the speak of the word, but by it's a natural way, natural process of the learning, and let them to know the word in the context rather than you use the word hand and one with the quotation and it's a noun, and another one with the quotation at be the verb. I don't think by that way it help the student to understand by nature, and they cannot come from the noticing to the memory, right? They cannot to be come from the noticing the word of the teacher to their memory later. So use it in a natural way. Natural way is it better? Give me a hand. It's a metonymy. So if we show that we need the student to carry an item with us or something like that, it's very imagery, so that the student understand the word. So as I tell all of you that when apply the cognitive linguistics, the type of teacher is more, more heavy, right? More heavy or heavier than we use the traditional way. Just we show the term and the equivalent word and explain and maybe give an example. It's very safe time, but it not have the student to use the word in the different context and different meaning as well. I think that you up to now you maybe have something to put in the way you design for your lesson in teaching the vocabulary later on. And I welcome for all of your suggestion, your feedback, and your and your question. Even if something I can explain it, I will explain immediately, and if not, I will find the document tree and will show you later by the email or something like that. The motivation and relation to the embodiment of the body, right, or social experience. The connection between the different meaning of the word is not arbitrary, but it is motivated. Sometimes we say that the meaning of the word is not with each other. No, it is motivated with each other. It is motivated with each other. Remember that one. Embodiment in Vietnamese word is nghiệm thân, hiện thân, nghiệm thân, hiện thân. That is an interaction of the word, our body with our body with the surrounding. Sorry, our body with the surrounding world, right? So the motivation is based on our physical experience, or something. Sometimes the social experience, or sometimes the cultural experience. I will take you an example. When in Vietnamese, when I refer to the word wine, so the words wine here, right, it refers to something is right on the food or drink. But in some of the cold country, it really cold country or Caribbean country, the wine is something keep the body warm, right? So when the different one, because we are in the hot weather condition, we don't see that one. But in the other culture, we see the word in the different meaning. So based on our social and cultural experience, we maybe explain the word different way with the textbook from European country. Only the Vietnamese teacher can do that. And the other teacher, I think that's very difficult for them to understand the situation, explain to the and the student find something not related to their, I mean, the social experience or the cultural experience. So our job as the teacher have to understand that and explain to them. Let them to understand why there is a difference between two culture like this. And when you apply this one in your teaching, you are contribute or you are partly using the cognitive linguistic approach in your teaching already. Right? So may some of you here already used that the cognitive with your teaching, but you maybe did not notice about it or did not recognize that you already successful in using it so far. And at the same, I talk about the need in understanding the phenomenon of the ballistic of the word. And I focus on of you did not arbitrary, but it's motivated in a certain way of the word, certain culture or social interaction between the community with each other, member, community member with each other. So based on the real experience, coloration of our knowledge, our life, and we have to let the student to understand the word in the Vietnamese context, right? And I also like the new model for the lexical network of the Lakar, who write the book, the metaphor released by. If everyone here, if already read that book and you have to find a very interesting one in the 1987, and he said that the central meaning connected with the other wire, the metonymy, metaphor, and image schema. That is the three way of the central meaning of the word that are linked with the other, right? And we also follow the notion very strictly for my presentation. Okay, I think that maybe a little difficult for all of you to see on the phone or to see on the computer because the color of the word is not clear enough. That's my mistake to put it into color is maybe the same. The metonymy, the metaphor, right? And the art, and this is the figure language. Because in our life, we do not concerning about one item of the word, one item of the word with the country thing. We use the metaphor every day. In the communication, we use the metaphor every day. And if we do not concerning about the metonymy, metaphor, and the other figure of speech, and we can understanding the word completely. That's the reason why I put the language learning must be combining with the metonymy, metaphor, and the other kind of the figure speech in the way of learning the L2 language or L2 acquisition learning. Okay, I say it again. The understand it, it's very difficult, right? For me and for all of you too. We cannot learn the new language without concerning its metonymy, metaphor, and the other figure of speech. So it means that if you want to learn the new word, you must be concerning the factor, right? So you have to accept it that I mean something is the concept before we can start to the other a little bit for you to refining your concept of the way we are learning the second language first. I also share with you that I have a very impressive model for non-linguistic model in teaching language, or we can apply the non-linguistic, not the linguistic in teaching. Before many the other thing come up to the language, if we just focus on the structure, the intonation or something like that, we cannot explain the contents of the word, right? I think that it's enough for you to look at the picture and to have a concept on your mind right now. And here it explains again why we much concerning about the metonymy and the metaphor in our way of teaching learning vocabulary. I will skip this slide because we use a lot of the scientific term. It may be now not latest for us to examine right here. Give us some of the subtraction for the teaching, and after you listen to me, and I also love to invite some of you to share your own experience of using the applied cognitive linguistics to our seminar room here. I will quickly to talk this one and let you to decode the problem. Maybe it open and the issue is open, and we learn with each other better than one way I present, you listen, I present, you listen. And enhancing about the knowledge of the figure, figurative of the speech in a different type of the linguistic expression can help or can help the student to comprehend and memorize their vocabulary. Okay, I will show you. I will show you. For example, we look at the example. I had underlined, so I will take my chances. Right, the odds against me, and he holding all the etc. and display the cat right now, and you can't do it. So if the student to if you pick up one of the sentence to teach to your student, they may do not understand the word changes here. But if we put on their mind at first, like a gambling game, that's notion first, and you explain why we use each word. It has been your student to better understanding one. Job is done by you at home before you come to the class, and you have to think of the way you convening the meaning like the gambling again to the student in advance. If your, your reading or your communication practicing containing some of the work like this. Okay, so think of this word you are going to take the student and think of how you apply the cognitive linguistic approach to teach your student with an easy way, but then will understand completely. Okay, this is what I mean to now. And if you read the book, the metaphor released by, and you can find a lot of a lot of concepts like I take it the word club, right? Okay, so at least we have the find the meaning of the love. We say that love is the magic, love is magic, love is the world, love is the magic, love is patient, patient. So this is the notion that the student maybe not know, but normally we see the sentence. Normally we see the sentence. I'm crazy about her. Okay, so if we do not use the word love at the metaphor, so the word crazy here may have just one meaning. But if we use the notion of the metaphor, the word crazy here is the kind of love. So if you want your student to understanding the word crazy by something you get met, you just take the crazy met. And if you want to take the something with the student to understand completely the word, I'm crazy about her with the meaning of the word love, you must show the contextualization of love to your student in advance, right? So sometimes at the level of the teacher, okay, so we understand this one, but may the student do not understanding or accepting by our way. Okay, I just want to level student during the A science a bit the mean that considered linguistics is applicable to many areas. Okay, we respond to time firm. I learned conceptual metaphor when we were in our university, and I know that many students are doing this on this topic. Does it mean the content? Okay, I will tell you later. Okay, thank you for your subsection. How can we know the metaphor, the love, the magnet, and the love, right? Okay, a contradicting way. Okay, in the contradicting way, and I will tell you. Sorry, it is a very specific example of the tenfold had put in the window chart, and then I will explain to of you. Here, I do not tell you about the code of we tell you about how to apply the cognitive linguistics in teaching vocabulary. And one of the things we take into our concern is the metaphor. And if we understand the conceptual metaphor, and we have this our student to understand the word better, right? Um, okay, that's crazy. Okay, some of the some of the attendee are falling on another field. of my presentation, right? Okay, they fly just on the specific concerning. Um, I will show to Thanh Phương, right? Okay. So I'm crazy about her, the magic, and I was spellbound magic, and they married me on the last lap in a patient, and I could feel the electricity between us, the medic, and keep flying from her advancing in the world. So I do not ask of you to take a very specific one. Just understand what I mean here. We have to have our student with the conceptual metaphor when we want to present something. It's not you just notion to take it a separately lesson, but in your lesson, if you found that it in the metaphor, you have to prepare yourself in advance how to explain that the conceptual metaphor to your student. Okay, understand what I mean? If you clear with my phone, type on your computer yet or on your mobile phone yet. If you are not agree, you can say no. Okay. If I mean that if you want to, you find the containing word in your lesson, and you want to take the student with this lesson, and you need to use the conceptual metaphor to explain to them in advance, and you have to prepare, right? Okay, if you agree with the font, so have to uh, say yes or say no. Okay, to me to know before I move to another one. I'm still confused about the difference between the conceptual metaphor and the conceptual metonymy. Could you explain this one? Hữu long, and another issue, right? And another issue, hữu long. And when you use the partly indicating the function, it may be metonymy, right? But it is also the different one. We don't follow in the specific conceptual metaphor example in my presentation, right? The time is not enough for us to discuss something very big here, right? Sorry. I think that we use the word, the preposition on, literal way. If you teach the student the word on by converting the pencil on the table, the pencil is on the book. So we have to get them to know the word on in a metaphor way, okay, metaphorical way. But we say the article on this topic, the article on this topic. So in this one, the student may understanding the word in the different way with the contrasting. Understand? And for example, we have you a chapter, the action. I put the pencil on the table. I take the pencil off the table. It is very clear for the student to understand the word on, right? But when we concerning about the metaphorical, where the word on, I mean the example here is the word is very small, so you may not see this one. I will close in hand for you or to see this one. For example, we say this house rests on a poor foundation. Cái nhà này đặt trên một cái nền móng yếu lắm. Hoặc là this, hoặc là that argument rests on the poor foundation. So here is a different way. So that argument rests on now something actually read on. But the how it read on is okay, you can see this one. It's something we cannot see very clearly about the suffix and the contact between the pencil and the book. Right? And sometimes your student will be concerning that one. For example, I say the pencil on the table. We can say vice versa. The table is under. We cannot say that way. It's not natural. Even though it may be very, very meaningful, but it's not natural. We just say that the pencil on the table. If I was, we cannot say that the table is under the pencil. Why? Before we have to understanding ourselves, that understanding ourselves, two terms. What is the term? It's about the trajectory and landmark. Okay, I will type on the screen. You can know that the trajectory, the word concerning, and the landmark, right? The landmark. I type on the window chat for you to see this one. So my voice not clear enough to you, right? So trajectory is something small. Landmark is something clear. Trajectory is something moving. Landmark is something more stable. For example, we can say you can see the how. You can use the how to indicate the car. No devices into the car to indicate the how. It's some certain situation, right? It's something movable. We not to use this one, and this is the two examples that are very clear to all of you. The word on we use in our language not only something it's the contact between the suffix and the container. No, so sometimes, for example, that argument is reached on the poor foundation. It knows nothing it contact with each other, right? Understand that word, and if we just take the student our student the work on two of the item contact with each other like trajectory and landmark by the two first feature, and the student may not use the correctly word later. In the example, the article on the topic, they may use in or the other preposition, right? That argument read on the poor foundation, for example, right? It also another example, the 3 dimension, cái không gian 3 chiều, the 3 dimension. Literal way, see the boy he on the floor, he on the wall, he on the ceiling, right? And with the metaphorically, we can say that on the, it means that I have to shoot for something, right? If we do not let the student know this meaning, later on, we have to very difficult for us to help them to understand the word again. Okay. I think the second example is also on the top of, and when we say someone is metaphorically, we say he on the top of the chart, meaning that he successful, right? Or he under the stress, he stressfully, right? He's stressful. Okay, next. Okay, it's got time to explain to you. I maybe I maybe talk something I mean something critical to you, and then we let to the discussion, and I think that it's better for uh, to ask and answer with something I understand. I will tell you, and with something I do not understand, I will let the other in to explain to all of you. So when we teaching, we also consider some of the metaphor that we 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 normally see in our surrounding world. We have to raise in the panic of the metaphor between this one. For example, we see a lot of the plan work, the planning work. For example, what I mean the flowering. For example, the root of the problem. Okay, the carrier a blossom, the sick of down. For example, we have a lot of work, and if you take one of these words, you must let the student to know the network of the word under the term of the metaphor of a tree. So when you just take one time, the student may have a lot of knowledge when they read the other material or the other books. Quite well. Okay, so now I need of you to know, sorry, to give me some of the word for plan in Vietnamese with the different meaning. The first question first, can you tie into any word for plan in Vietnamese with a different meaning? Now please help me. I want to you cooperate with me, and we will discuss this one. Just an example, don't take a serious one. So I give it 1 or 2 minutes for all of you. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Cây vàng, cây âm nhạc. Đây. Cây vàng, exactly. So in the word cây in Vietnamese is something fruitful, is something crowded, something over many talent, right? Many talent. Edward like the lips, many talent like the cây. Trong hợp tiếng Việt của chúng ta là nhiều thể, giống như là so sánh lá. It's quite different from something in English. Something in English, Vietnamese is similar, right? Okay, okay. Cây vàng, cây âm nhạc, cây vàng is quite different. Cây vàng is the amount. Yeah. The amount of is the number of the amount the gold, right? Cây vàng, right? Okay, it's okay. Một cây bóng bàn, cây văn nghệ, cây bóng bàn, cây văn nghệ, cây ca nhạc is maybe the same. Cây bóng bàn, cây bóng bàn, cây bóng bàn. Metonymy and metaphor too. Okay. Cây C, right? Okay, about the love, right? Maybe actually a real item, right? But about the maybe about more about the love, right? One way of love, okay, I agree with Thanh Hồng, right? Tương tư, One creates love. Thứ tư. Right. I think that when you you are brainstorming something related to your vocabulary you are going to teach your student, it means that you try to apply all of your knowledge in the Vietnamese cultural and social context, and you transfer it to your teaching in the way you are applying the cognitive linguistics in teaching. For plan, you in Vietnamese and in English, some mostly are the same. Sometimes it's not the same. But say the root of the problem là cái gốc vấn đề, cái nguyên nhân. So we have a many repeated words. We say cái gốc vấn đề. We repeat two of the word. For example, at we say about the words indicate the word I. The Vietnamese we say mắc mũi đâu mà đụng vào tôi, but actually to just indicate the word I, but the Vietnamese has said something is redundant, mắc mũi, but indicate mắc, right? And sometimes the word you in Vietnamese and different from the word in you in English, and we have to get your student to know this one. Yeah, cây cầu. Okay, and I think Bùi Ngọc An is the French one, right? And maybe it can connect it to something in the West region of the Vietnam, right? Cây cầu. Okay. Later, okay. So thank you for your response to my presentation. So I will go it back if you have time, right? I saw the picture, and I think that the picture is too large and the work is too small. It up part of our body. It has its function, and when you take the part of body work, you let them to know the function. When you let them to know the function, they have an idea associated with the other function, and they can connect with their metonymy and metaphor in Vietnamese language. And then they will go back to their L2 language, the English language. So if you teach the student by the meaning of the word I, and you do not teach them with function that typical for them to use I in the different context. Okay, why I say so? I say it, if you take the student with part of the body without concerning about the function, right? The student should know the word, spell it correctly, use it in some certain situation. But you do not teach them with having them with the word credit with the word of the function. They cannot link the word I with the other meaning when they or when they see in the different context. Okay, so I will show you. I will show you later, and back to the picture later. For example, okay, so sorry, very well. This exercise is just very easy, but we ask the student to fill in the word I, nose, heart, ear, and hand into the feet of the check here. But if they do not know the function of the part of the body before this one, cannot filling in. I think it's maybe typical for us right now. I don't know how to show it. Lashes for, okay, maybe, okay. Okay, can you see this?
Excuse me, may I interrupt, Mr. Nghi? You do not need to enlarge the screen, but the attendees can do it themselves.
Yeah,
Everybody look at the right corner. You can see the three arrows, and just
yeah,
click
three
on
arrow.
that, and it will show full screen for you.
Okay, okay,
On
I
the
try.
right corner of the three lines, you can
Yeah.
see a full screen button.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I will try. It is okay. It make it maybe.
Now we could see that. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. 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 So just one for example, if we do not know about the idiom like the no for story, note for story, we cannot fill in this. Um, and the order is the same. I think that even with a very easy word, but we can find that in a very high containing containing word in the article in newspaper, uh, our everyday life. So only we connect the word with its function, with its function, we can have the student to analyze their knowledge when they meet it in the different context. And uh, it maybe we do not need to go into the concrete thing like one, but this way of teaching, if we do not use the cognitive linguistic, we make ours very difficult for them to understanding. And they maybe we get shocked. That's why before just very easy word, but put in something is not related to the body at all, but it's related to the containing of the word in the different context, in the different culture. How we put them into this one for an I mean advanced intermediate level, for example. Um, okay, take it here. I will let you know later. Many of you maybe raised a question like that. So how about young learner? When you talk this one, how about young learner? Can you understand what we figure out the figurative speak in our teaching, the course meaning and related meaning and everything? How about young learner? Can young learner to do that? I do not have an experience with teaching young learner, but in my reading, I found that one of the article the Pegwit is Manic had done in 2005 and later on 2010 with the full of the from the young learner children, teenager and adults, and today to take example of the children only, and we also come up with the work that are similar to our discussion in the hand, the mouth, and the heads. And in this one, he also tell them to describe the the feeling of the warm and the cold when he apply this one into the color. And he asked what color you feel warm, and they will show which color they feel warm. And he also asked the student which color related to the personality. For example, if the young learner say, okay, he pointed to someone and hey, so which color to better describe this person? So the children will use the word sorry, you will to work the warm or the cold to indicate the personality. It means that the word warm or cold is not just related to the feeling of the weather, but the color, the personality. They have the student to learn the words warm and cold to describe the color, to describe the personality of the people. But if we take the student related to the temperature term, like warm and cold, it's not successful one. Well, I mean, it's not successful one. We do not to do our job with perfectly, right, for young learner. And I will let you see the picture, and I think that it's timing up for all of you to go to the discussion. Maybe, for example, the picture, describe the picture, and they ask where is the head of the bed, right? The head of the bed, and ask them to show. Where is the head of the bed, right? Ask them to show, and it's the same picture. The same picture. Ask them to show. Where is the head of the hammer? Ask them to show, right? To context one. Where is the head of the car light, right? The head of the light of the car, right? Ask them to show, right? So they will know where is the head, right? And where the head of the stair, ask them to show, right? To context one, to indicate this one. Okay. I will see the one later. Okay. Here the result. About 7 years old, 9 year old, and 11 year old. The correct one is more than 50. So we don't worry about applying into our children. They can understand this one even more than 60% of the students can understand. Okay, do the same, more than 70% understand, right? Did change based on the year of the student, but mostly they can understand this one, right? Okay, we come up to the closing, and let all of you to discuss with me on with the other people in our webinar one. The discussion so far stressed the important vocabulary and the second language learning of English and the foreign language. And the discussion acknowledged that why our job had likely paid the patent on teaching vocabulary grammatically or with the meaning of the word. Acquiring the vocabulary is also different from what we have done so far, especially with the line of the cognitive linguistics. It means that if we know this theory or this approach, we maybe repair something better, something something larger to help your student to understand the word, not by just showing them the word and the meaning, right? Or the kind or part of speak only. And the principle of the categorization prototype of the metaphor has you to some certain situation for learning the vocabulary. And if you found that the word you're going to take to your student related or linked to the metaphor or the something in general, for example, the word how, and you have to take them to the flat or specimen or the rented how or something like that, or the room or it's special, you have to draw for yourself everything before you come up to the student to see the work. And also our education have a little adapt the cognitive function in the notion of applying it to teaching the vocabulary for our student. And I hope that with my introduction, you will find this book, the Cognitive Linguistic Process to Teach Vocabulary and Phraseology by the two of the well-known author. One of this one is my favorite one is the Lynch Chambers. I cited him a lot in my research. If you do not find that book, or you cannot buy this one, I will send by email on PDF one for all of you. My email is if you need this one, okay, and or I may send it to the organizer and send to all of you. Okay, so I would like all of you to have a comment, the feedback concerning, and together with me, right? We will open the discussion on this topic.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Nghi, for your detailed and convincing presentation. We really appreciate that. So I believe that many of us here have learned something and can record some of the methods or approaches that could apply in the classroom. So we still have 20 minutes for Q&A section. If you have any questions or queries, please turn on the microphone and talk to us, or you can type it in a chat box. We will respond to you as many as possible. But during the Mr. Nghi presentation, we could see some query from the attendees. So now let's look back. Mr. Nghi, you can scroll the chat box up and you could see previous questions.
Yeah, okay.
Nguyễn Hữu Long, Mr. Nguyễn Hữu Long said that the concepts are hard to understand.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, okay. Actually, Nghi Hữu Long, I'm sharing this feeling with you. For me, at first, when I have a trying to do my research on the field of my PhD program. I have many my professor had advised me to read the book, and they give me a ton of the book, right? Ton of the book about the linguistics, and all of the book have a similar. The number of the pages is very large. Each of the book I remember that it's more than 200 pages, and the average book is the 400 pages. 400 pages for each of the book, and I did not have the time to read all of this book. But actually, when we look at the content, the table of the content, we may do some of the few or some of the area we interested in, and we will read this, and step by step we have a knowledge about this one, and some of the term will come up to our mind very naturally, and when we understand it, but first it's very difficult. I say with you.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Nghi. If we are interested in a specific topic, so we need to spend time to read more about that, and then it will be easier in understanding the concept or notion. All right, so another comment from Mr. Phan Văn Hoa. He asking for more websites or more material on the topic. So Mr. Nghi just showed it on the screen a book. So Mr. Hoa, if you need the book to send Mr. Nghi an email, just write an email to Mr. Nghi and we will
Yeah,
send.
okay. I will share. I will share this one. I will share. This link.
So I think that you answer confirm
I
question.
already told him, right? I already told him that one, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And Mr. Nguyễn Hữu Long asking the differences between metaphor and metonymy. Did you
Already
answer?
in the slide, Mr. Thanh Phương, already in the slide, right? Already. Yeah. The key had given at the slide. I will send the slide. You will see this one. The people of you should to know this one. I do not getting of you should know about the metaphor, the conceptual metaphor. I should let you understand that we need the metaphor to teach our student with the job of helping them to understand the vocabulary. And this example is not the general example, is not linked to your book. The example you must find is which word in your book. For example, you open the Great Tale, English Great Tale, and you see, that is the metaphor. So that we have to read in advance which kind of metaphor to helping the student to understand. You do not go to the class and teach them about the metaphor of love. No, do not this one. It's just example, right? But I will share this, some of the material related to this one, especially the book, the metaphor released by to Mr. Thanh Phương and Mr. Trần Hữu Tín, okay, Hữu Tình gì đó, okay. I will share this one, and I will send the link of good code Tran for all of you to download. It's convenient for you to read at home.
Okay, so now let's look at the recent question from Mr. Phan Văn Hoa. Is it possible to apply cognitive linguistics in teaching reading?
So, so actually, teaching vocabulary is a kind of we do more on the class time, and reading is something is related to the student ability of understanding after the phase of understanding the word. Sometimes we stop the reading to taking to pick up the word to take that we apply in the cognitive linguistics, but we cannot apply cognitively. No, I won't say we cannot apply. We cannot have a student with every word in the reading. But I think that it's also the way. Maybe I will understand. I will look back and read it again. How can we apply into teaching for the reading? It may be, for example, before you introduce the text of reading, you have to let them to read in advance the culture. For example, I remember that in the book line when I teach them about some of the very strange culture, I let them to at home to collect some of the 10 cultural events in Vietnam, and they had to prepare. And when they do the reading in the class, and I asked them to make a preparation between the English textbook event with the Vietnamese culture, and they have two variation. But I don't think that way belong to the teaching reading or not. But I will do it later. Sorry, I cannot completely answer this question for my knowledge up till now. Okay. Yeah.
But I believe that in order to be able to understand an article or a text, you must have vocabulary. So
Yeah.
firstly, you could apply it into teaching some new vocabulary for the students before the student gets to read the text. So
Yeah.
that's why we could apply cognitive linguistics at the beginning, like free reading.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So let's move on to Nguyễn Hữu Long, Mr. Nguyễn Hữu Long question. I wonder how we can use these ideas in teaching grammar.
Yeah. Yes, actually, we have the cognitive grammar, but very difficult one for you to apply this one. So we do not take grammar by the structure. We teach grammar by the meaning. So my question is, we can apply this one many way of teaching grammar, but not by, for example, I say this one in English, we have, I give her a kiss. For example, I give her a kiss, we have a direct option, indirect, her indirect object, a kiss, direct object. But some of the language, we do not have a clear between the direct object and indirect object. So by that way, the cognitive grammar will have a value in applying. And I also can send you a book in the cognitive grammar for your teaching if you want to. You feel that this is appropriate for your teaching. But when I read it, it's something is very difficult for to apply in teaching. But maybe, but I feel that the field of the vocabulary is um, reachable, or is suitable for us to apply by some of the way we prepare at home and the way we have the students to understand in advance before they get into the lesson.
Okay. So hi, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have any comments or any inquiries for our presenter today?
Okay, so I'm really appreciate your participant this morning. Even in the quiz they which can, but you have to take your time to join us. It also encourage our team at Station will contribute to all of you the next webinar with a different speaker. And it is the second time I come into the webinar. At the first one is the topic concerning about the ITC, but unluckily at that time the internet connection and the equipment is not very clear for us to see. But in today, I think that it's okay with the hop up from Mr. Thanh Hồng, right? Thanh Hồng, right? Okay, thanks for what you have, right? And actually, I say thank you to all the participants, to the Edison organizer, and everyone. So thank you so much.